Dear Bailey, I love you with my whole heart. It was you all along, you the whole time. Jesus placed you in my life to have you, to love you, and to serve you. Thank you for the gift of yourself in this sacrament. I am totally yours.
One look at you, my whole life falls in line. I prayed for you.
I'm ready to serve you, ready to lay down my life for you. And Jesus will teach me all of his romantic ways.
Benjamin, I love you with all my heart. All that life has in store, I want to share with you. To be your bride is the greatest honor I've ever received, and to receive your love is the way I've grown more certain of Christ's love than I ever imagined I could. I can still hardly believe you're real.
I get to love you. It's the best thing that I'll ever do. I get to love you. It's a promise I'm making to you.
My love for you will be without end. Just as God asked you every day, I will too. Will you marry me? I love you, Bailey. Let's get married. With all my love, Ben.
Today, I'm praying that we can be worthy of the call we've received and rest in the gift heaven sends to call us home. Your pre-heaven, your bride until the end. I love you. See you at the altar. Bailey.
You know, I remember it's so interesting. I'm sure every person here, when you met Ben or Bailey, or Ben and Bailey, one of the first things that people get struck by is, and you probably got this your whole life. My guess is you probably both of you got this your whole life. Like, oh my gosh, you have such a nice smile. The both of them, don't they have like just, it's kind of like, wow, you met each other. It's like smile times infinity.
Oh, I can't believe it's true sometimes. Oh, I can't believe it's true. I get to love you. It's the best thing that I'll ever do. I get to.
You know, it's so funny because these surface things, like sweetness or smiles, they can conceal stuff, right? We all know this. A sweetness can conceal something that's just, I don't want to touch. Smiles can conceal something. In fact, these two are really good at concealing things. If you read their story, you know their story. If you lived with them here on campus, you know that story is not made up. The story is this, of course, to unfold this. As missionaries, Ben and Bailey, first year, they couldn't date anyone. But from the moment they met each other, they're like, I like that person. Then after the first year, they could date anyone in the world they wanted except each other. Because they're on the same team.
And they say love is a journey, a promise that I'll never leave. And when it's too heavy to carry, remember this moment with me.
And so I may or may not have heard each of them on their own saying things like, I'm conflicted, I'm torn, I'm whatever. But if they hadn't ever shared that with me, I would have never known, because their smiles can conceal. They were so conflicted, so like torn, at the same time had such integrity. This is important. They had such integrity that the other person had no idea. The other person, like, I think they're mad at me. I think they are. Do you think that he's interested in you? I think she's interested in you? I have no idea. I'm like, okay, they are too good at this. Because they had absolutely no clue. I love it. One day I was down at Dunn Brothers, and it was a Monday, so it was just kind of work day down there. They had a conversation the night before. Apparently I was up in the loft at Dunn Brothers, if you've ever been there. They were downstairs, and I got a text from Bailey and from Ben at the exact same time with the exact same message. There was the attached song from YouTube, I Can't Fight This Feeling Any Longer, from REO Speedwagon. And Bailey said, Father, I think I need to tell him. And Ben wrote, Father, do you think I should tell her? And I looked down over the ledge, and they're sitting together. Like, I think you already had your conversation. I think you've already. That that, or you can read each other's minds and you have to get married. And Bailey, when you first meet her, you're like, what a sweet girl. You meet Ben, and first impression is like, wow, what a nice guy. And these are the things that I thought like the whole time, like, wow, nice smiles, nice girl, nice guy, sweet girl. Like, these are the kind of things that just immediately appear to us. Bailey is more than a sweet girl. You get to know her and you realize Bailey is so many more things, but one thing here, Bailey is a kind woman. That Bailey is kind. And that's so different. It's so profoundly different than being sweet. Bailey decided to live her life on purpose. A sweet girl drifts through life and doesn't make any waves, but a courageous woman, a kind woman, is living her life on purpose. And ever since she was in her teenage years, Bailey made the decision, I'm going to live my life on purpose, which takes courage and takes Christ. I remember this so clearly when Bailey was torn about the whole thing. It was that second year back on campus, and she had been like pouring her heart out to the rest of the team. She had been pouring her heart out to the students on campus and been doing all this stuff. And Ben was kind of like, she was torn because Ben didn't seem to notice this. He didn't seem like he was like, you know, all on board and saying, yeah, go Bailey, go Bailey. He didn't notice. And so she was like, he doesn't notice these things. He just wants to get back to work kind of thing. And just like, what's wrong with this guy? I thought he was a good guy. I thought he was a man of character. I thought he was a good man. We were talking about this and I'm like, okay, Bailey, one of the things you're looking for is you're looking for Ben to think like you, to notice what you notice, to appreciate what you appreciate, and to be basically you. But you have to realize, you're disappointed in him because he's not a good woman. I remember looking at her and saying, Bailey, Ben is not a good woman. Ben is a good man. And I can't think of a bigger, better compliment than to give Ben, or any human being, any man I know, than to say, you're a good man. And that's why the highest thing I could possibly say to a disciple of Jesus Christ, to a son of God like Ben, is he's a good man. Ben's goodness, again, just like Bailey's kindness, it's not surface. Ben's goodness is a strength that with gentle, when he needs to be gentle, he's gentle. But when he needs to be strong, he is strong. When Ben needs to build people up, he does it. But when Ben needs to correct, he does it. That Ben has learned the cost of, okay, I want to be liked, but you know what? There's greater things than being liked. I need to love the people around me. Ben is a good man. Bailey's sweetness comes from her disposition. Ben's niceness comes from the fact that his temperament is like that. But their joy comes from Christ. Bailey's kindness comes from the Lord. And Ben's goodness comes from God.
I first heard about Ben, when Bailey first told me about him, I heard just glowing reviews of him. Like, oh, he's got a servant's heart and he looks for ways to serve people and he's got a great smile and he's really fun to be around. And I didn't know how much of it was crush talk, and then other people you knew or that we both knew met him, and they would say, oh, Annie, have you met Ben? Oh my gosh. And they would say almost the same thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, I know they don't have a crush on him, so maybe it's not crush talk. People who know Bailey and have met you have gushed about you and glowed. And then I was thinking, you want to know what's even more amazing? Is that for as captivating and wonderful as Ben is, he is completely captivated by Bailey. You have just taken his heart, and it has just been beautiful.
I don't think at the Mass there was a dry eye in the room, and everybody realizes that today is not a final destination for Ben and Bailey. It's a new beginning as husband and wife. For you guys, you always gave, your cup was always so filled with joy, and I call it a sort of joy that's, I call it a brave joy. You have joy in your heart because you let Christ into your heart, and you're brave in your mission work because you go out and you share that with everyone else.
I, Benjamin, take you, Bailey, to be my wife. I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad. In sickness and in health.
I will love you and honor you all the days of my life.
I, Bailey, take you, Benjamin, to be my husband.
I, Bailey, take you, Benjamin, to be my husband.
I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad,
I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad,
in sickness and in health.
in sickness and in health.
I will love you and honor you all the days of my life.
I will love you and honor you all the days of my life.
And may Almighty God bless all of you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And it's my honor to introduce for the first time ever, Mr. and Mrs. Benjamin and Bailey Burning.
Perfect shadows lie behind us, and this is the day I'm making mine. The way your hair lies.
There was a moment last night, the cup of blessing thing, like super cool idea. Ben and Bailey got up,
All the way from knees to
holding Bailey's hand. And he was trying to talk, but he was holding her hand, you know, sometimes Ben can get animated. And so he's holding her hand, and her hand's kind of like all over the place.
And you are the one I've been waiting for today. And here comes the sun, it's been beating more today.
And just really, I got to sit up front, so I just saw this little moment. And he realized, like, oh, I'm kind of jerking your hand around, so he says, oh, sorry. And Bailey looks at him and says, you can let go if you want. And Ben says, I don't want to let go. I don't want to let go.
And I thank God you came along. You are the one I've been waiting for today. And here comes the sun, it's been beating more today.
And that's this thing that brings them here today. Is that they have a God. We have a God. Well, even if you're flapping around and doing terrible, he says, I don't want to let go. And they're holding each other's hands and they're saying, you know what, for the rest of my life, I don't want to let go. They're saying what we're going to do is we're going to find ourselves in the hand of a God who doesn't let go, and we're going to hold on to each other, and we're not going to let go.
You are